things. Number one is we recently hired a new facilities director, to replace Bill McMinn when he retires July 1st. So he accepted our offer and he's resigned. So Peter Anderson of Stonington will be joining us. He's actually going to be a Board of Education employee, so we won't be voting on him per se, because his plan will be under the Board of Education and we just partially fund it. But we're excited to have him join us. So he will be starting January 2nd. Second of all is we got news today that we were awarded a grant for a microtransit pilot program that we're doing with Guilford. And that's basically like Uber for public transportation that will serve all of Madison and all of Guilford. So you can dial a ride basically with public transportation to come to your house and pick you up and take you somewhere within Madison and Guilford. So that's a really exciting pilot program. We applied last year, and I got an email today saying that we were awarded part of that program. So we'll have, and it doesn't cost the town any money. It's actually part of the Estuary Transit District. They applied on our time behalf, so it's not going to cost Madison any money.
Does it cost the user money?
Yeah, you pay a nominal fee to public transportation. So they have it in Old Saybrook, and it's like you have an app, and so they'll do multiple stops, but it's like a ride share.
Is it a car or a bus?
It's a bus, but they'll go to multiple places. Yeah, so,
we're gonna get this another cruise bus. So is there an age restriction?
No, this is for any public transit user.
But they'll pick you up at your house?
Yeah, they'll pick you up at your house. So, and so it's kind of a, it's been operating in Old Saybrook for quite a while. It's been very successful. And we decided to partner with Guilford so there would be more cars on the road, so to speak, and broad, so you could you can go to the grocery store. We were talking about Walmart at the time, but that's not there anymore. If you needed to go to the Target in Guilford and you're in North Madison, you can schedule to try to get this ride to come pick you up, and you might be picking up other people along the way.
And it goes to all public locations?
Yes, it goes to other, and I think private locations. I don't know all the details. I can't remember. We applied last year. But it's very exciting. This is kind of the wave of the future.
Yeah.
Where it's called microtransit. So rather than having fixed bus routes.
I think we got even teens that are getting their first jobs.
I think that's going to be a big opportunity for people who, younger people in town. So anyway, we'll talk more about that as we go forward. I just got the email today. So those are my two highlights for today. And I don't know if we have any liaison reports, probably not.
The only thing I wanted to highlight is the planning and zoning public hearing that's on this Thursday at 7 p.m. It's about the conversion of the Winter Club into the steakhouse. So there's a public hearing on that through P&Z, 7 p.m.
Not 11 p.m.
Not 11 p.m. And so all the information for that meeting invitation can be found on the town calendar.
I will say when they go to 11, it's because they've had like 3 other applications before that, so I don't think they don't schedule to start at 11.
There's no intent there.
Yeah, they start at 7, but any other reports? Yeah.
I was just gonna ask Jen, I realize it's not our business as selectmen to help the P&Z publicize their activities, but there seems to be a lot of consternation amongst the public about these planned development districts. And I'm wondering whether there's some role we can play to help get more information out about what these things are and what they're not, and deal with some of the anxiety. Are we crossing a line if we start doing that?
I thought we had a lot. We even had presentations to this board.
We did.
About
We did
Aaron
as it was happening in real time.
presented to us. Aaron came and did a presentation to the board on that. I think, there's just so many meetings that really could have public input that it's hard for folks to keep track of when all of those are happening amongst the different boards and committees and commissions. So.
But less about meetings per se, but more just about the content. Meaning what is a PD?
Right. I think.
I'm trying to articulate what it is, in a clear, concise manner.
When I've talked to the chair, I think there's, like, we had a public information session tonight. Or to have something about that's just, a opportunity to ask questions, to talk about it not in a formal,
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
regulated meeting structure.
Right.
And it's, because usually they're dealing with specific applications too.
Mhm.
So I think, you know, creating that, and I think, I know Carol is very willing and open to having that, and so I think it would be a good thing to do.
It might help them
Well, I
to a
think
large
so.
extent too.
Yeah, and so people understand that, you know, kind of what the context is and some of the motivations behind different things that come forward to them and how they work through these types of applications. So I think there's a willingness on her part, and it could be that we could, you know, whether we do it jointly or just she ends up setting something up, or, you know, we haven't kind of figured out the format yet.
Okay, good,
but,
thank you.
So do we have any citizens' comments? Hands raised?
No
Yep.
hands are raised.
Okay, no, we have 19 attendees, so.
Oh, we do?
Yeah,
No, no.
yeah, we've got a lot of- Okay, so I guess, moving on to item number 6, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented in the agenda.
So I do have a question.
Yeah.
So if we want to move it for a vote, and then I have a question.
Sure.
Second,
Item 5, I did a quick read of the memo from the state, and it says, we don't need you
That's right.
to have a motion or anything anymore. We don't require towns to do that anymore. So I'm wondering-
I was just told we did it before, so we should go ahead and just put it on here, but maybe we don't.
is there a harm in doing it? Probably
It's
not,
not-
right?
I mean, I just kind of said that we've done it in past practice, so I just thought we continued to. We can't really change it, that's what I learned, so we're kind of, would you rather not have us vote on it? 'Cause
No,
it's,
no, no, I was struck that they go out of their way to say,
Yeah,
we don't need you to do this.
well, and I just didn't know if there was like a reason for our charter or whatever that we felt
Right.
that we needed
Let's do
to, you know, by
Yeah.
giving me the
I say we do it as like
authorization.
an extra
Yeah.
level of.
So,
That's fine, I don't
Okay.
object to it, I was just curious.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
All
it's a
right.
good call.
All right, so with that,
Alright.
all in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so Jack, I think you're done. It was in the consent agenda, so
Okay,
um,
can I leave something with you? You don't really have it, so since I arrived, I've always done the car replacement schedule. So this will make, as we go into the budget year, so it's better for you to understand, but I've done, and I kind of document where the cars go. Generally, been pretty good success with the cars that are replaced in the next phase are 2016, 17, so we got a lot of years out of them compared to when I arrived here.
Yeah.
You folks are replacing every 2 years. So
That is the only one who puts it in bigger font, if you know
So-
that. Very good.
So if you're bored,
Thank you.
please read it.
okay. Great, well, and I think because this was still kind of, you know, within budget and everything, that we just put it in the consent agenda.
I appreciate that.
And I
Thank
think
you.
we talked about this, but, okay, well, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Um,
I guess.
yeah. All right, so
Nice to meet you.
we'll go on to item number 7, which is basically discuss strategic plan, public informational session comments and next steps. And I know Cheryl, I think, was still on.
Yeah, but just put her up.
Yeah, if you want to invite her up quickly. And I think this is just how we want to proceed. I think we've got some really good feedback tonight. And I think some of this is just really making some edits, you know,
Yeah.
modifications to the document. I don't know, Cheryl, your experience in these things, you heard the comments tonight. What is your recommendation for a path forward?
Well, first, thanks for asking me. I appreciate that. I think I heard a lot of really great, thoughtful feedback. So people, I really appreciate the fact that they took the time to read it and comment. I think a lot of the comments were about what I would consider the how are we going to actually do this? And I think that really tends to reside in the implementation plan itself. So I was taking notes, and I think the 3 or 4 things I heard that you all might want to have a conversation about that might be helpful would be the conversation around how to make the context of the business community neighborhood development concept more resonate better with what you actually meant, and some language around there. And I heard also the historic preservation, and we mentioned historic preservation about 5 places in the documents, but I do know also that that wasn't necessarily the full community feedback that, historic preservation was like a top goal. But it is mentioned in, I think, 4 separate places in your strategic plan. So that was the
Who's the
one that I
fun
heard.
teacher?
I know, we talked about it a lot. And I was explaining to one of the gentlemen towards the end that there's some action items that I know that we can do to create those historic preservations. So I was thinking of those in terms of implementation plans, so how they fall in here. I think I need to go back and read it fresh, and maybe there's just a word here or two that we could drop in.
Yeah,
or
with the
bullet
feedback
point.
next to
Yeah.
us, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it'd be good for each of us to take this away and maybe make some suggested edits, very minimal, because we don't wanna, recreate the wheel to capture those thoughts. Or do we wanna take one of us, take a shot at it and then the rest of us weigh in? And I'm happy to take a crack at it and then send around a markup, if that's easier.
So I'm gonna propose a slightly left-handed approach to this. What I heard tonight was people were reading this as if it excluded other things.
Yeah.
And I think we probably would do well to polish our talking points around how you should read this to say, does the thing that's important to me, is it going to be prevented from happening in this document? In other words, are we preventing something in our language from happening, rather than simply trying to list everything in the world?
And it can't.
And this then becomes an infinite document. We can't do. And so some sort of talking point. Okay, it doesn't mention that specifically, but do you see anywhere where it excludes it? Because we're going to bring our sensibilities around historic preservation to everything we do. We're going to bring our sensibilities to resource sharing and regional sharing to everything that we do. They're almost the table stakes of our day-to-day business. So we would be alarmed to learn that we've inadvertently prevented something from happening. But it's okay if it isn't specifically named.
Well,
I don't know if that's making sense, but that's kind of the way
1000%. Yeah, I exactly what you just said. I think, to me, this is not meant to be an exhaustive document. I think that's an important talking point that, we heard you, we have your feedback, but that it's also a prioritized document. And I think that's how you create a strategic plan, is you're sort of going forward and trying to figure out the most high priority items for the town. Not everybody's priority personal agenda item is going to make the town's top priority agenda as well. So I think we have to figure out an appropriate way to say that. I'm probably not saying it well, but I think that's a really important point.
I mean, I think that there's some things here that clearly, to Cheryl's point, there was, the context that this is about.
Yeah.
Put it, right?
Just
So
takes
that
care
is
of it.
something that
Yeah.
needs to be wordsmithed a little bit better,
Right.
because clearly people were like leaping to all these other conclusions, right? That we're gonna have like Walmarts on Route 1 and, so we wanna be careful of that,
But even like people arguing about, prioritization, right?
Yeah.
And
like, oh,
number
this
4 should be
oh, yeah,
number
yeah,
1, or
no,
number
I
1 should be
know.
number 4, like,
Yeah, that,
we're all
that-
gonna have those opinions.
Right.
Like, it's just,
no, I would agree.
it's
on
never
that.
gonna be 100% back to
Yeah.
80-20, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we
Yeah.
got to the prioritization of those goals was
Yeah.
our 80-20 rule. Yeah, I just don't, want people to be alarmed by the wording.
Right.
And then have a major concern that the document is gonna totally change the landscape of town. So just making sure that we're really intentional with making some of these wording corrections where people were definitely, we had, I think, I counted between online and in person, just around 50 people that were participating tonight. So, that's a good number of eyes on the document to give us that feedback that, for those of us that were either involved throughout the process or our SPAC members, it's like they had a much deeper understanding of the intention behind all the words that were being used. So just making sure that that intention is, appropriately conveyed to the public.
So, so with that concept, obviously there needs to be some edits, right? So would we rather each kind of submit our edits, or do I take a crack at it and then submit that out and see if that reflects what everybody heard tonight?
Yeah, that'd be
Unless,
fine.
that's Scott's fault.
No, that would have been this. No,
That's
that's
Scott's
not
gonna
it.
take a crack at it.
That was a not it.
Okay, so I think that would be, that will, and I think explaining maybe a little bit more in the letter, can't be all encompassing, and some of the verbiage that you're talking about is really explaining the plan in the beginning, right? And just making sure that this is never gonna capture everything, right? So that could be kind of massaged a little bit too, to make it clear.
Then.
But I think Cheryl hit an important point on that though, too. Not only is it not gonna represent everything, but it's also a living, breathing document.
Right.
So it's going to change by nature of what the document
So
is.
it's okay if we go down the path and go, we can't do that.
Right.
Or these two things really don't exist in the same place.
Right.
We're gonna have to choose, and that's okay.
Totally.
Right, the
Yeah.
plan has allowed us to find that conflict and then bring to
Yeah.
resolution, so that's great. From a practical matter, I would suggest considering each of the big groupings, right, like the financial and environmental sustainability, making that the topic of a night.
Yeah,
Versus the double click.
Versus pick anywhere out of the 33 pages and comment on it. Let's try to narrow a get together around a particular portion so that everybody's head stays in the same space during that meeting. Because
So you wanna have like 5 meetings?
I think you're gonna have 5 meetings whether you like it or not.
yeah.
I think that there's easily 5 more hours worth of.
The only problem with doing that, I think somebody said it, maybe you, Peggy, that things belong in you could
Yeah,
make an argument for something belonging in multiple categories. So without looking at it holistically and just isolating on one area, I don't know,
I don't
that
know,
might be tough.
it is hard, but I even think about the meetings that the 5 of us have had. We've had 2 of them now, and, we're always getting into a crunch because there's
Yeah.
so much to unpack.
so I'm wondering though, maybe instead, because I don't think I can do 5 meetings. I'm just being honest, so, I'm wondering if we have some sort of interactive thing online that people could put some comments by each topic. Submit comments. This is kind of getting to this social media, some of the software I'm thinking of getting, but so you could have
The Google Doc.
yeah, a Google Doc where people, so I'm just thinking about it, so people can just write in and type some comments, right? Next to each category and say, I think this is missing. And then it doesn't mean we're gonna make all those changes,
Right.
but at least then it gives us some time to absorb it, and we can have that up there for a couple weeks with an ability for people just to comment on it online.
But can we ask Cheryl, because to me, yeah, she has her hand up. I'm gonna ask you a question though too, but where do you draw the line
Yeah.
with feedback? Like at some point, you're at the point of no return, right? Where you're either hearing stuff that you heard in the same session back in April, or we're just not getting new stuff.
Right, and herein lies a little bit of a conundrum, and I have a recommendation. So I'm going to give you the recommendation and then tell you really why in a very sort of direct manner, and then you can completely ignore my recommendation. My recommendation is that you adopt the plan with the mention that it is in fact a living document, and you understand there's some concerns about context, and that you will continue to talk about this plan. But the plan needs to be adopted so the staff can actually start doing work. Remember, we started this 6 months ago, more than 6 months ago now. So I'm recommending you adopt the plan. One of my recommendations in a document that I'm working on for you all is, in fact, to have some ongoing community conversations around the issues that the plan brought up, that we heard about housing tonight, right? How can you possibly build more housing when that's in conflict with? We talked about that. And when you're right, when people come in that didn't have the context, that didn't come to the meetings, that might have come to one meeting, but didn't have the benefit of, say, the retreat and the ongoing conversations, they're just not up to speed with what we talked about, and they never will be. And so this constant loop should work best if you adopt the plan and then continue to work on it. that's my recommendation for whatever that's worth.
So, I
So you're putting a stake in the ground, is your point.
I would agree with that. I think though, the way we position this tonight is that we're gonna do another pass through.
Mhm.
And then I think we have
At least one more.
one more public hearing
Public
and then we
information.
adopt it. And that was our thought, was doing that in December, right? So we send around this draft.
Mhm.
I take a crack at absorbing. I mean, this was good. I didn't hear anything alarming today, except this zoning thing was a little concerning, because I'm like, that's not what we're going for. We do refine it.
Mhm.
And then, and I was just thinking, I guess we can't do it it's a special meeting, so we call a public hearing in mid-December.
Mhm.
And then just vote on it at the meeting afterwards. At least we have another opportunity for comment.
I think it should be open-ended
Yeah,
and at least one more session. And I don't know if they call it a hearing or.
we don't need to do a hearing. I think we just do we can just schedule a public information session. This isn't anything that requires a public hearing, and I like this better. It's a little more interactive.
Yeah.
And then I think we schedule another one of these before or we could do it, we could do another hour before our next meeting, and then at the mid-December meeting, we just vote to adopt.
But even the zoning, when I'm reflecting now, even that particular issue could have been addressed with more communication, more information sessions,
Right.
things like that in the
Right.
context of the strategic
Right.
plan. So
Right.
we may not address it head on. We may address it in a very different, Al, you were talking about,
Communication.
yeah, and how we
Yeah.
deal with that in terms of
Well,
the board of
that's
selectmen.
that's an implementation
Yep,
thing though, right?
exactly,
And it
exactly.
improve communication
yep.
on, these types of things. And I think that's the layer below that as we get into implementation, we need to make sure it gets captured.
Mhm.
So I think then if we were to look at, if we could, I don't know if I'm gonna get this turned around by the 27th. So if we did
Get
it.
a holiday in there somewhere.
Trying to like take a day off. I haven't had one at all. Let's see, our next meeting, Jacqueline, is it the,
Our next meeting is is the 27th. The only thing we need to think about is the swearing in before the meeting.
well, I'm thinking though that if we sent around the draft and had an information session and then we voted on the last meeting in December. We don't want to do
Oh, in
that.
December. Okay. Yeah, so that
Let's
is
just think about this and we'll send something around to the board and just figure out how this would work.
Yep.
And we don't have to have it at the same night as the meeting. We could have just a 90-minute,
I think it should be
Yeah.
more open-ended.
yeah,
Yeah.
and maybe we do it at the senior center. Although I like the hybrid.
And maybe Bruce is right, it may last 5 hours.
We can marathon, right?
I like a clean start time and an end time.
Yeah, I know. Well, this was a little bit of a problem. We lost some time too because of the issue with the meeting ID. So,
Well,
well, the academy people got completely booted out from meetings. So we took their Zoom ID.
They got booted.
All right, so with that, Cheryl, I'll follow up with you. I'll talk to Jacqueline, we'll figure out something, how to schedule. And then I'll talk to you about kind of the next draft. So thank you for your time again.
Yep.
And, appreciate it.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, if I don't see you before.
Thanks, Emily, you too. Thanks for all your work.
Okay, great.
Yeah, thank you.
So item number 8, I think John Anako is he on?
yes, I'm gonna move him up in the consultants.
So this is Garvin Point. A few months ago, you got like kind of a design concept, I think, and they come
Yeah.
back and refined it.
Okay.
And I think we want to go out to bid with this soon. So,
Are we voting on anything?
no, this is just so everybody's happy, and I want to put this on the website too. So they've refined the design a little bit more, and I think we did. Budget might be a little bit of an issue in this, so there's some nice features in this that we're gonna have to see how the bids come back. We might not get some of the really cool stuff, so we're gonna try to have it structured so that, we can kind of pick and choose based on how the budget comes back, so. So welcome.
Thank you. John, do you want to start or you want me to start?
Oh, yeah, you can start, Kishore. I'm just kind of listening along here, but I know that we spoke a little bit about basically, the purpose is to review the sort of what we think the proposed plan is here to move forward with.
Okay.
But I'm here if you have any questions for me or if anybody does.
Sure, no problem. So just want so SLR Kishore Patel, I'm the project manager. I know, like you mentioned, we were presenting about 2 to 3 months ago before we had a few alternatives for you, and we went back and forth, and you selected one alternative, and we moved that alternative to 50% design, kind of. And Megan from our group, she's been working on with the permitting, and she has filled out the structures dredging permit, and we're going to move forward with sending those out soon. And I also have Sam and Mike Doherty from our landscape group, architectural group. So they're going to go over some of the sketches again, but we did move the plans to about 50% for permitting. And we kind of just wanted to go over that with you and make sure we're all on board before we can present this to the public, pretty much. So we can have a public information session regarding this. So I'll hand it over to Sam, and then when we have more discussions about cost, if you want to go over that, I can go over that with you, and how we want to structure this so that we do come in within that budget, or if we want to add funds to it.
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to give you guys a quick refresher just on the concept that we shared in the last meeting. So this is the chosen concept. As you can see, this is Garvin Point. Our chosen concept is only going to impact about 16% of the point, as mentioned before. So here with the dark gray line is representative of the structural wall, which is going to be at the 10.7 2050 elevation. Just behind that is going to be the decking structure, which is going to help with stabilizing the ground behind the wall and prevent scour, which is an issue that lies there today. And this also is not just going to have a function for that, but also is going to provide another gathering space where people can pull up chairs and watch the sunset. And then just to go more east in the concept, I'm going to zoom in to get more detailed. So this decking is going to start ramping up to get to about 10.7 elevation. So this is going to create this cool condition where this is going to be flush. And then behind that is going to be a sculptural seat wall. And then just behind that, to kind of soften that area, is going to be a plant mound, which is going to have different native ornamental grasses, which are going to be 3 feet or less, so not to impede any views. So the second space for this concept is going to be the terrace seating area. So as you can see, this is going to provide both direct beach access down here as well as down to the water, and provide even more gathering space opportunities. So this is one of the sections just to show you some more details. So this one is cutting through the beginning portion of the deck and the native grass mound. So as you can see here, this is the existing lawn with the ornamental grasses kind of hugging and acting as a backdrop for the sculptural seat wall. And then you have the decking structure and the structural wall here. We do also want to increase the height of the existing boulder revetment in order to minimize that drop here to only about 2 feet. The second section is looking through the overlook area. So this is going to be one of the major gathering spaces for the concept. So as you can see, this condition is very similar to over here, except that this is going to have an expansive deck here, which can house different small events, or people could bring chairs here to watch the fireworks. And then here's the condition where it's flush, so you could actually sit on this edge here. The third section is showing the terraced seating area. So as you can see, this is the existing lawn that we have graded up to the flush condition of 10.7, and then it's going to be gradually terraced down. Each of the terraces is going to be different sizes, so some will be wide enough to be able to sit or lay down on, and some of them will just act more as steps. And this will be an opportunity to sit and be able to watch your kids either play in the water or get right down to the beach. And also we have an idea to incorporate an educational component by possibly labeling the terraces with the different flood elevations. So we've taken this concept and we've gone, as Kishore mentioned, into 50%. So we've taken this to more detailed CAD drawings. So we have drawings such as existing conditions. We have a layout and landscaping plan. So this is showing more specific plant species and materials. We also have the grading sediment erosion control plan. All these plans have also been submitted to the town staff, and as mentioned, we're going through the permitting process. So I'm going to now pass it over to Kishore now for structural. Oh, you're on mute.
So obviously the main goal of this project is to stabilize the existing wharf here. And we knew that the existing sheet piling is not in good condition. So this is, typically our new layout for the sheet piling, which is going approximately 18 inches in front of the existing sheet piling wall. And what we're going to do is with the existing sheet piling wall, we're going to cut it off at an elevation below below grade. So you won't see that, but we won't be removing that. So it would help with excavation and installing the new sheet piling. The existing sheet piling only goes up to this point over here right now. So we're going to go up to there, but this portion of the wall was damaged during one of the last year's flood. So we are replacing this portion of it again with the sheet piling wall. So we did extend it by about 60 feet from what we had originally discussed. Let's move to the next slide. And then we just developed a few more sections and things like that, structural details that the permitting agency will be looking for. They want to see the existing condition section, what that looks like, and they want to kind of see the proposed section so they can see whether we're filling in on this side or not, and what elevations we're doing. If you zoom into this, Sam, a little bit. Just move it up a little bit. Yeah, right there. Oops, a little bit more.
Oh, down or up? Sorry.
Up.
Up. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. There we go.
So down. Sorry. Yeah. So as you can see, what I was mentioning, here's the existing sheet piling that's right there. And here's the proposed sheet piling. So we're going to go out 18 inches in front of the sheet piling and then put this cap over it and then see how we cut this existing sheeting off a little bit so that that doesn't interfere with the new proposed sheet piling and the grading behind it after. So that's what we're doing. Typically, the DP and any permitting agency typically allow us to go 18 to 2 feet out in front of the existing sheet piling because that's kind of the norm for installing a new sheet piling wall. You can go to the next sheet. Yep. The other way. Yep. And then we just develop more sections through where, we basically, Sam went through those graphics with pretty pictures, but, obviously for construction, you need the actual design drawings, which are more plain black and white with the actual rebar reinforcing and everything like that. So we develop more sections for this set, and you can see each section pretty much similar to what Sam went through with the graphics. And I think we developed a section for the sidewalk behind behind the sheet piling as well. Note that this is also helping with, as Sam said, with the scour issues behind it. If we don't have this, obviously you're going to have some, when water does get on that side, you might have some little scouring issues, but with this, it would help, eliminate that additional, work during after a flood or anything like that. So that's why this was incorporated. I think that's all we have, right, for the 50% set plans.
Yes.
So Megan Raymond from our office, she's doing all the permitting. She has the application done and everything, but we kind of wanted to just make sure there was nothing that, the Board of Selectmen had any issues or anything before we submit it, but we're ready to submit that application, to the permitting agencies. And then if you agree with this, then we can, have a public information meeting and then move our plans to 90% or 100% after. So, and as we discussed last time, we're still on schedule to bid this in somewhere around April and then construct it after the summer season's over, so that the public wouldn't have an issue, and we would construct it through the winter so that it would be open for 2025 again. Like John mentioned, John, should I go over the cost estimate a little bit, or?
I suppose you could if you'd like to. I know that it's based on preliminary
Yeah.
plan,
Mhm.
and there's contingency in there.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about that. It is over the budgeted amount, but there may be some options. We don't know what the cost is going to be until
Yeah.
it's bid, the final cost. There may be options here when SLR develops the plans to have some of the site amenities be bid alternatives.
That's correct.
And I don't know if you want to get into detail on this or not at this point, but
so right now, I mean, from looking at from here, so we're actually redoing this all the way up to here. Actually, this is just one of our graphs from our older thing. But for our base bid, I would suggest doing all this whole wall and then this portion of the staircases going down, just because that's part of the permitting process and everything. And I think within the budget we have, I think that should come in within budget. And then we should have anything up on top over here as add alternates, so that, if it doesn't come within budget, we can pick and choose what we want to do after. But I think the staircase would down to the water would be part of the base bid. We have, if I remember, John, I think we have 1.5 million of a grant for this, for construction, and which was, only to replace the existing sheet piling wall. And since we added about 70 additional linear feet and all this other things, it's an engineer's estimate. It's hard to predict nowadays with prices going up and down. Everything seems to be like, sometimes we price it and it comes below budget, and then sometimes it's well over. So it's kind of hard to trust even the engineer's estimates nowadays, just because the pricing is so weird on every project.
Yeah, and I think the good thing is to have like the decking and all that as well.
Right. Yeah.
These other amenities, which I would love to have,
Yeah.
but we got to make that decision once we see what the bids come back. And
Right, exactly. And that's why I think John and Austin were talking about having add alternates. So that way, you don't have to rebid anything. That way you can just say, oh, okay, we're under budget on the main thing, and we can add this feature to it. We can do this feature to it because it'll still be under budget. And I think that's the best way to go that's the way we'll break down the plans and everything, so that it's one bid and then you can pick and choose on what we give the contractor.
Sure, because they're additional estimates or just extras.
Yeah.
Potentially you could do it as an extra phase. a separate phase down the road? Like,
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So if you want, so I would bid it at once but you would have to rebid it for the additional phases after because the main contractor is not going to accept that after a certain period of time is expired, right? So but anything in the backside of this the sheet piling, and like I said, the base bid would be all this. Anything beyond this, I think you can almost build anytime you want.
Kishore, your drawings are so technically precise, I'm almost embarrassed to ask a couple of simplistic questions.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
The first one is the sidewalk. Is any kind of fencing needed or railing?
No. So Sam, you want to put up that
We did talk about this last time, that
yeah.
It's not really necessary this is kind of considered a natural,
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm just worrying
And,
about the town's liability.
but we haven't had anything ever on it. And
I agree, yeah.
But maybe I asked them also about this.
Okay.
If you want to weigh in, but typically for these types of seawalls and stuff, it's just not required or expected. The state doesn't even use any kind of railings.
Okay.
Yeah, Sam, why don't you go back to the graphic that you had with the people on it, where the graphic is. Yeah, right there. Yeah. So what we and Mike could probably add to this, but what we did was we tried to eliminate the fall from here. So it's, I think, within 2 feet drop, right, Mike, if I recall. And you're typically allowed to have but near the water there is really no code. But typically, anywhere else you would have a fall off of 30 inches, and you wouldn't need a railing. But we kept this at 2 feet so people can actually walk down and stuff like that too. That's the maximum, and it's less at some other locations too, right, Mike?
One more question. For folks that might be sitting at a picnic table,
Mm-hmm.
can they see over that mound?
Mike,
Yeah,
you wanna-
they should be able to, because I think the mound itself should only be about 2 feet, and then the grasses are going to be another foot or two above that. So I think sitting at a typical picnic table, you wouldn't have any views blocked, I believe. That's the goal.
That's fine. Thank you.
But the graphic you showed with the people sitting behind the grass.
Yeah, so they're on the ground. So I think that it probably might be.
Yeah. Yeah, they won't be able to see it for sure.
Yeah. All right, just want to make sure.
Yeah,
Yep.
you'd probably get an obscured view depending on how tall you are sitting at a table.
Hey, exactly.
Thank you.
I think this is going to be amazing.
Oh,
If we
it
can get
looks
all of it,
wonderful. Yeah.
Crown jewel.
it will be, but it'll be interesting to see what the public, because it is
Yeah.
more landscaped than what we have. So,
I love it.
Yeah.
Where's the flagpole there? Is that the little round circle above it?
Yes, right there. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought. We're not touching that. That's not part of this?
No, because that's further back.
Okay.
But I think that, it will be more landscape. I think that tiered seating is
Oh,
my
it's
favorite
terrific.
feature, especially when you have little kids on the beach
Yep.
and stuff, to be able to sit down there and watch them. And I think that's gonna be a huge, benefit to this. So we love that. All right, well, I guess then, so I think we'll, in December, early December, John, schedule a public information session on this. And then you guys can proceed from there.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, because we'll start, we're gonna submit the permits and everything. I don't think that's gonna, because we don't want to wait too long on that, because sometimes that process takes a while. It could be anywhere from 4 months. So we want to make sure we get the permits before we bid this project in April. So.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So next, number 9 is discuss and take action to approve the disposition of the town campus generator using municipal bid per the disposition of town property policy.
Whoa.
Second? Okay, and this is just what we just replaced the generator successfully. How much do you think we're gonna get for it?
I don't know, I'm hoping 10, 20,000 maybe.
Oh, okay,
So the police department used this to get rid of their vehicles, and they got more than what they expected.
yeah, okay, great,
We'll see.
okay, all in favor?
Couple more benches at Garden Point.
Yeah, right, yeah, well, seriously. Spending it already.
Well, it depends, you might get more, I really don't know.
Yeah.
It is an 1899 generator.
Oh, yeah, but you know.
It's big enough to be my house?
Oh, you could do more in your house.
Your neighborhood.
You get the neighborhood to go out.
A little distributed energy,
Yeah, you can make your own microgrid.
microgrid. The micro transplants.
He's gonna be.
Driving a bus around the power plant.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, item number 10, discuss status of ARPA funds and related projects. The board received an updated memo. And I don't know, is Stacy on? We basically have, 2 projects that we still need to get resolution on, in ARPA. And if we do fund those, we would have about $130,000 left in ARPA. And I was trying to remember if that included, if we do the next appropriation.
So this one says it'll be
I don't have it in
186. How am
front
I
of me.
reading it wrong?
The bottom row is 130.
133.
That's if we approve this, right? I don't have it in
Right.
front of me, because
I'm looking at the thing that we
yeah,
just got the short table.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, 133, no, yeah, so that would be
We got
if we
later one
approve
today. Oh,
tonight, the
It's an email.
68,000, and we
That's
still
what
go
this-
forward with the lighting, which we haven't resolved that yet. We
Okay.
still have
Like this afternoon.
133 left over.
Right.
So if we don't approve the storage building tonight, the additional funds, then that's another 68, it would be close to $200,000. So that's kind of where we are on ARPA. There's other little items that we're still working on closing out. Some projects are getting done and there's, you know, that we might have money left over. So there'll be some more adjustments coming, I think, correct, Stacy? But that's kind of like the high level. So we wanted to offer that before we talk about the next item on the agenda. So you knew where we were with ARPA. Okay? So item number 11 is discuss and take possible action on round 17 ARPA funding request pending Board of Finance approval. A town facilities building garage addition, $68,167.50.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so this was something we had actually approved back in 2021. It had started as a thing to put PP&E in, right, that emergency management needed. It's kind of evolved a little bit since then, this project. Originally, we were gonna put this up in the town garage location. And then as we acquired some emergency signs, if you recall, during COVID as well, that needed to be stored. We have emergency lights.
Light towers,
So we've got some other
we
equipment.
have high water.
And we also got the generator approved for the town shelter at Polson. And so we kind of started, and I think it was Al's brainchild, was, you know what, maybe it makes more sense to have this near the emergency shelter because we're gonna be needing to store some cots and other supplies. The school doesn't really have room for that. And so, you know, it got redesigned a little bit. Obviously, also, this was originally estimated in 2021. We saw raw material prices, especially sheet steel, this is gonna be steel building, has gone up quite substantially since in 2022. So we saw a price escalation. So that's the need for additional $68,000. So I don't know if you or Bill wants to talk a little bit more about it, or anybody have questions?
We bid it out too, so.
And now this is a real bid, yeah, so, and that was based on estimate.
Because we were getting prices back when they were off the consortium pricing, they were above, so we said, let's just bid it out, and we bid it out, and it would come in even higher
Oh, versus,
versus the consortium, so I don't know why, but I think it was probably the timeframe. By
right,
the time we got everything together to bid it out, it was probably another 9 months, a year,
well, yeah, that's, we've seen
yeah.
prices escalate for this, so,
What role, if any, does P and Z play with this?
it has to go through it, planning and zoning.
So it does have to have a special exception because of the the coverage, but I guess we're gonna move lot lines to get. So I don't know how this became my problem, but apparently
Do you want Bill to explain this?
the property.
I'm happy to speak on it if you'd like.
The
So-
property line to the high school goes through the high school, so Aaron wants it all realigned, so that
Yeah, it's like there's multiple parcels of property owned. And so we have to actually follow like variances and stuff because they're separate lot lines. It should all just be one parcel now. So I think that's been a little bit of delay too, trying to get a lot of that cleared up. But this has been through inland wetlands, correct? That got approved?
That's correct.
Yeah, so, because there's wetlands behind the high school and all that, and so it still has to go through planning and zoning and ACA, right? But it's in addition to, the building that Bill works in.
I see.
So it's a lot more convenient with emergency shelter, which is good.
Do we feel good about the 68K? I mean, is this
Yes,
really, it's a reasonable bid?
yes.
Very definitive. All right.
Well, I'm happy to elaborate. Felicia's here. Felicia's running the project for me on my behalf. Blair's here for the next one on the agenda, so we brought him up early. You know, we sent it out to bid. We had successful bidders. We've been working on this for a very long time. We have a good contractor. Prices have gone up. If we want to move forward, we should award the contract and build the building. I think we've been working on it for a very long time, and it's time to either do the project or not. P&Z, any kind of, municipal use needs to go for a P&Z, special exception permit, so the neighbors see what we're doing and the P&Z can approve it. It does have wetlands on the property, and there is a lot line revision that we're trying to clean up for some historical issues as well. So I think this is a very successful project. We can go over more details. Felicia's here ready to go over the specifics about the pricing and the cost and what the building's going to look like. But, if you really want to get into that, it's a 30 by 30 extension to my metal building. It's a perfect spot for it. Al came up with the idea. The Board of Education approved it going on their property for, use of storage of emergency shelter stuff. So happy to go into more details if you'd like. The team's here ready to go over it.
I think we're, we went through this when we approved it for ARPA, so I think if everybody's good. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, item number 12 was related to this, because we're using some line item transfer money left over from the emergency shelter study. So item number 12, discuss and take action to approve a line item transfer of $41,133 from the CNRE emergency shelter study, remaining project balance to an approved emergency management storage building project. Project is to not exceed $309,300 pending Board of Finance approval. Second. And so this is the same thing. It's just using some ARPA funds and some transfer from the emergency shelter project to this. So, any more questions?
Nope.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Great. And then, because we put this up to bid, discuss and take action to award the contract to the town of Madison and Malta Construction for design and build services prefabricated metal building project, the amount not to exceed $309,300.
So moved.
Second. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, awesome. So we can get that done. Congratulations, Sam.
Thank you.
We didn't have to have Felicia go through.
I know, thank you. Thank you for all that. We can move forward. So we actually have a contractor and everything, and they can, when do you think they would start construction on
No,
this?
we still need P&Z approval. Felicia's going to go to the ACA meeting tomorrow night. And then we're going to hopefully get P&Z approval in December, and the contractor will start ordering the material. And, it's going to be a spring construction start. It shouldn't take that long. And Felicia can get in more of the details. We do have some utility issues that will maybe slow us down. We have to move our utilities. So we do have some minor problems that will slow us down a little bit.
Just make sure that they don't do it at between 7 and 7:30 when hand is opening for business, because that would be a nightmare having them doing construction then. But anyway, great. Okay, well, I'm excited to see that move forward. So we'll go on to item number 14, which is discuss and take action to approve a special appropriation of $810,783 for the town campus geothermal project pending Board of Finance and town meeting approval.
So moved.
Second. So this was, we talked about in September, you know, that we're gonna basically be getting all of this back and more through rebates because of the geothermal project. So I think we're expecting more than $800,000. So we're kind of borrowing from the fund balance. And I know last time we talked a lot about, okay, could we take this from CIP? And Stacy, we went back and basically CIP, it would require the same process. So we would still have to have a town meeting. And then as you saw in the CIP plan that was submitted in October, it would blow a big hole in that. And so it would really require a lot of rejigging if we tried to pull it from there and then return it later. So I think we just need to move forward. The contractor is holding the price until December 1st. So if we don't get the approvals, then we're gonna have to like start all over again.
So to that.
Yeah.
Are we expecting we can have a town meeting on this before December 1st?
Yeah, we're gonna call it on the 29th.
Okay.
On Wednesday, yeah, so and the Board of Finance is gonna vote on this on Wednesday. And I think the important thing here is for the public's benefit. We are getting the money back. It's just we have to appropriate for it, go through the process, and then we get rebates back from the federal government. That will be more than the $810,000. I think the number was like
It's
$1 million. There was a range.
1,060,000 to 1,158,000.
Yeah, so we'll easily get that back, and that'll go right back into the fund balance. About what, 18 months? Time frame?
Yeah, so we would expect to get that back winter, spring of 2025.
2025, okay, so.
And that includes the utility incentive, which is separate from the federal incentive. And we've got a pretty consistent workflow for submitting the IRS tax credit. The IRS issued more recent directions on that process, and we'll be using the same exact process for the new school that's going geothermal. So I think regardless, it's going to be a very good case study for that. You know, we're going to get $1 million back and learn the process.
It's too bad we couldn't do that for Olson.
Well, that was a whole discussion, you know, we had that discussion.
That was a
so-
whole discussion.
Many times.
It was not just, you know, that had to do also with the staging and the ball fields and a whole other set of complications, but nonetheless, excited that we can get this done here. I know this building, I think I'm in several places that had no heat today in this building, so it'll be another winter of survivor, but we'll get through it. So if there's no further questions or discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye, great. Item number 15, discuss and take action to award the contract between the town of Madison and Munger Construction for the town campus geothermal project, the amount not to exceed $2,410,783 pending special town meeting approval.
Which is pending the 810, right?
Yes,
Not the 2.4.
no, the 810.
Okay.
Because we need the funding then, yeah, and then we only award contracts, so that's why it's not pending Board of Finance.
So moved.
Okay, any further conversations? And just so everybody, these were bid out, I
We need a
noticed that we have the same,
Second.
no, sorry. Notably Munger's named twice, but they happen to be the winning bidder in both situations, so it was a full process with multiple bids.
Nice.
With that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 16, and this is the town meeting. Discuss and take action to set a date of Wednesday, November 29th, 2023 at 6 p.m. for a special town meeting in the auditorium of Walter Polson Middle School for the following. To approve a special appropriation of $810,783 from the town campus geothermal project pending Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance approval.
Second.
Okay, and this is, you know, hopefully it won't be like the summer, it will be better weather and lots of seating, so at least the school is available now. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, great, well, eager to see that move forward, Bill, thank you for this, and Blair and Felicia, you know, this is one that is gonna be a great project, and it's been around for like 10 years in CIP, I think, to replace the system, so this is gonna be great. All right, good. Item number 17 is just to look at the meeting schedule. We will vote on this at our first new meeting as a new board. And I wanted to talk about, do we want to consider changing the times based on different people's commitments? You know, right now we do the Monday night, hybrid, and then we do the Tuesday morning all Zoom. Is there going to be any concern with certain people for their jobs?
No, I mean,
You're okay,
I think the bigger concern would be, you guys. I mean, I went into my thing with this commitment in mind.
okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
So
I'm okay.
moving it later in the morning, I think starts to impede on the balance of the workday, and so.
You're
Yeah, no,
okay with that?
Yeah.
And I think it's nice having the two.
I agree.
I like having the two,
Yeah.
for different segments of town to be able to
Yeah.
participate.
And it makes it a little, Tuesdays are kind of nice for some of the more the businessy type of stuff, and then.
Which
more
I think we
public
should
discussion.
try, we should aspire to just be taking care of business
Yeah.
in the
on
morning
Tuesday.
meetings, and then we can do more
Policy
policy
kind of
stuff in
Yeah.
the evenings.
Agreed.
Okay, so we'll vote on the final, because I have to check with my schedules too for the whole meeting schedule, we'll go through it. And then item number 18 is discuss and take action to the budget workshop calendar, which this again, and they wanted us to approve it. Just my brain is not there yet.
Oh,
You have it that way? No, I gotta
Hit the
get it.
ground running.
I just, this always sneaks up, and then I'm like, wait a second. I'm not.
Do we have to approve it tonight?
The Board of Finance, I think, did they approve this? Stacy, are you still on?
Sorry, she is, but yeah, they're going to approve it. Or no, they already did approve it. Yes, they needed Board of Selectmen to approve it. Or they're approving it Wednesday. They're definitely doing it Wednesday, so they wanted Board of
Okay, so-
Selectmen to do it today.
Just beg a moment here, because I did not look at this thoroughly. I think it's really the workshops that are the biggest, time commitment, so the 18th of January and the 22nd. And February 8th, so this has ours on there too, right? So, granted, we can always change our stuff.
Is this basically what we did last year? The similar format?
Yes,
So
it's
Valentine's-
the same. Yes.
Valentine's Day, we've got, just saying.
Yeah, I don't need to be doing it on Valentine's Day.
It's
That's
not
not,
the
yeah, we're not
best
doing that.
date, for that. That's the Board of Ed
Lucky you.
presentation, so we're
I'm not
like,
gonna-
everybody's, and then, so fall, winter break is the 9th, so that's fine. So we might query the Valentine's Day. 26th.
I can change that. I'll talk to Stacy.
Final action would be February 26th would be our final action on the budget.
That would be our backstop. The 22nd
Yeah.
would be the target.
That's right.
22nd would be the target, yeah. And the first workshop meeting, so we only have two? Oh, no, here's the date, Thursday the 8th. Okay. So it's kind of, nothing falls within the school holidays, right?
I don't think so.
And-
These all joint, we're doing the joint Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance
Yeah,
together
yeah.
sessions again?
Yep,
Yeah, that's why it's titled, whether or not any of the Board of Finance will show up or not.
we have a lot of new board members now. So.
You got an extra one.
Yeah, so we have some new people, they might actually, but then they have their own workshops.
Does the word Zoom,
Board is still strapped together, so.
Yeah.
Bring the child.
does the word Zoom mean?
Hybrid. Oh, no.
All of us?
Yeah, I think it means hybrid, right? When you say town campus room A and Zoom, it's hybrid.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's when it has both the room and Zoom, it means it's hybrid, so you can attend either way.
Okay.
And just so you know, we also talked about with the new charter, there was an opportunity to move up the referendum date, but the problem we've got this year is the presidential primary in April. So we had to change, you have to have certain periods where things are locked after the presidential primary. So that had to be taken into consideration when we thought about our budget referendum. So the next year, we might actually be able to do it earlier, right? Our referendum date.
Mhm.
So that was the goal when they redid the charter, so people would move it up, but then,
I still don't understand what the rush is to get this done right now.
So I mean, so it sounds like people want more time to look at this. So I don't know, would you rather table this to our meeting? I mean, they can vote on it and then we can, if we have to make
I guess in
changes.
theory, we could approve it and then
Change it.
we could always make a change. It's not like we're locked in for a.
But we're giving staff some targets to aim for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing from Stacy in finance was the dates that are coming up, specifically December, when the budgets are due.
Why don't we just tell the town departments, have everything ready next week, we'll let you know when we're gonna meet.
Stop tape.
Well, it sounds like the date that most people would have an issue is the 14th.
Yeah.
It sounds exactly like you change that. anyway,
Yeah.
so.
So I would recommend that we don't have to vote on this, but our recommendation, we're okay with all of it, is up to 14th, and then we can vote on it in November. Okay. So we'll see what they come up with the change on the 14th. Or maybe they don't care. So, okay, with that, then, I think we'll table item number 18, and any hands raised, citizens' comments. We lost a lot of people, by the way.
No hands are raised. You're good.
That's all. All right.
Move to adjourn.
Hearing no objection, meeting is adjourned.
Nice.